Assalamualaikum. Good morning and thank you for watching my presentation. Before we get started, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nur Alisha Shuhada binti Muhammad Ismail from TSL4. So today, I will present the finding of my case study for the course Children and Language. This case study examines how selected course thus can help support bilingualism and multilingualism in Malaysian primary ESL classroom. Malaysia is well known as a multilingual society. Many children grow up speaking more than one language in their daily life. For example, most people speak Bahasa Melayu, which is national language, while some may also speak Mandarin, Tamil, or other local language at home. At school, they learn English as a second language. Because of this situation, Malaysian classrooms are naturally bilingual or multilingual environments. People often move between language when they communicate, understand, try to understand instruction, or learn new vocabulary. So, according to Bojura 2024, allowing pupils to use their first language together actually can support language learning, especially in English class, because pupils can connect their existing knowledge with new language input. This process is often referred to as translanguaging, where learner use multiple language to understand meaning and express their idea. Therefore, teachers need to design learning tasks that support language development while also respecting people's linguistic background. So effective tasks should help pupils improve their English skill while also valuing the language they already know. This case study evaluates 3 tasks from different TESOL courses to examine how these tasks can support bilingual and multilingual learning in Malaysian primary ESL classroom. The 3 tasks analyzed are Task 1, from songs and poems in the primary ESL classroom. Task 2, from theory and practice in primary English language teaching 1. And task 3, from English language skill 2. So the main purpose of this case study is to evaluate how these tasks support language learning in multilingual classroom, identify the benefits and challenges, and suggest recommendation for future ESL teaching practice. I will start with the task 1. The first task comes from the course Songs and Poems in Primary ESL Classroom. In this task, students are required to analyze one song and one poems that are suitable for young ESL learners. They must identify several characteristics of the text and explain why these materials are appropriate for teaching English in primary classroom. Okay, next, this task has a positive impact on language learning because song and poems actually can help pupils develop multiple language skills simultaneously. Through singing and reciting, pupils are exposed to new vocabulary, pronunciation patterns, and sentence structure that are meaningful context. The repetition found in songs and poems actually can allow pupils to hear and practice words many times, which helps improve vocabulary retention and pronunciation accuracy. For young learners, repetition is very important because it strengthens memory and support language acquisition. Song and poems also support listening and speaking skill. Pupils listen carefully to the rhythm and melody of the language, and then they can practice producing the sound when they sing or recite it together. So this helps pupils become more familiar with the natural rhythm or intonation of English language. In addition, songs and poems actually can create positive emotional learning environment. Young learners tend to enjoy musical activities, and when pupils enjoy the lesson, they are more motivated to participate actively in language learning activities. Then I'm going to talk about pedagogical approaches about these tasks. These tasks also reflect several important ESL teaching approaches. One example is communicative language teaching, or CLT. CLT actually focus on meaningful communication and interaction. When people sing a song or recite poems together, they practice pronunciation, vocabulary, and sentence structure in a communicative way. Another approach related to this task is total physical response, which is we call it as TPR. In many song activities, people use action and movement together with language. For example, the song "If You Happy and You Know It." So there is action in it. So they may clap or do other gesture and act out the meaning of the word while singing. This physical response helps people understand language more effectively. This task also encourage a learner-centered approach because teachers need to select songs and poems that match people's interests, language level, and also learning style. One major benefit of this task is that it helps future teachers learn how to select suitable learning material for young learners. In multilingual classroom, people may have different level of English proficiency, and by analyzing songs and poems, students can learn how to evaluate whether the language used in the material is appropriate or not for people's age and ability. Another benefit is that songs and poems can increase people's confidence in using English. Many people feel shy when speaking a second language because they scared they will do a mistake and other people will laugh because of that. But sing together allow them to practice pronunciation in supportive environment without feeling too much pressure because they say the word together. So if they make a mistake, other people won't realize it. Next, songs and poems also encourage active participants and engagement. Instead of listening to the teacher, people become actively involved through singing, recite, and sometimes performing action related to the lyrics. Despite these advantages, there are also several challenges when implementing this task. One challenge is selecting songs or poems that are appropriate for people's language level. Some songs may contain difficult vocabulary or expression that make young learners cannot understand it easily. Another challenge is cultural relevance. Some songs and poems may include cultural references that are unfamiliar to Malaysian peoples, which may affect this understanding of the text. Teacher may also face time constraint in classroom. While song and poems can be effective learning tools, we know that teacher must complete the required syllabus within limit teaching time. To improve this task, teacher education program could provide more examples of songs and poems that suitable for Malaysian classroom. Teacher can also combine song with visual aids, action, and group activities to make learning more interactive. The evaluation of this task suggests several important implications for language learning in multilingual classroom. First, engaging and meaningful learning material needs to be carefully selected so they match people's language level, interests, and cultural background. When people are exposed to songs and poems that use simple vocabulary and familiar themes, they are able to understand the language more easily and participate more confidently in classroom activities. Second, creative and interactive learning approaches can support language development effectively. Activities like I mentioned earlier, singing, reciting poems, and performing simple action can make lessons more enjoyable and help students or pupils remember vocabulary more effectively. These activities also allows pupils to practice pronunciation and speaking skill in relaxed learning environment. Another important implication is role of emotional engagement in language learning. So when classroom activities are enjoyable and meaningful, pupils motivated will feel motivated to learn English more. A positive and supportive learning atmosphere can encourage pupils to participate more actively and use English without feeling afraid of making mistakes. Finally, these tasks highlight the importance of integrating language learning with creative expression. Okay, for the second task, it's come from theory and practice in primary English language teaching. And this task, students must analyze a recorded English lesson for a real Malaysian primary classroom. Students are required to identify the teaching methods and classroom management strategy used in the lesson. They must also evaluate whether this student must also evaluate whether these strategies are appropriate for people's age, learning needs, and cultural background. It seems like the first task actually, almost same. So this task helps future teachers to understand how teaching strategy influence language learning in real classroom situation. By observing actual lesson, students can see how teachers actually can support pupils through various teaching techniques such as visual arts, repetition, modeling, group work, individual work, and so on. These strategies are especially useful in multilingual classroom because they help pupils understand lesson even if their English proficiency is still developing. Clear instruction and structured classroom routine also support language learning because they reduce confusion and allow pupils to focus on understanding and practicing the language. Group activities also promote communicative language learning. When pupils interact with classmates, they practice expressing ideas and responding to others in English, which helps develop their communication skill. Yeah, this strategy helps pupils understand instruction and participate in learning activities even if their English skills are still developing. According to Kim and Lim Kim 2024, supportive classroom environment can increase learner confidence while using a second language. Several ESL teaching theories are related to this task. One is communicative language teaching, which encourage interaction between pupils during learning activities. And another important approach is the learner-centered approach, where teachers consider pupils' developmental stage and language background when planning lessons. And this task also connect with behaviorist learning theory, especially in classroom management strategy such as clear instruction, positive reinforcement, structure routine. This strategy actually can help create an organized classroom environment that support effective learning. Then about the benefit of this task, it helps future teacher or students to connect theoretical knowledge with real classroom practice. Instead of only learning teaching theory from textbook, students can observe how these theory are applied during actual lesson. Another benefit is that this task develop analytic and reflective thinking skill. Students must evaluate whether the teaching strategy are effective and appropriate for young learners. This task also increase students' awareness of classroom management techniques such as giving clear instruction and maintaining an organized learning environment. So, however, there are several challenges associated with this task. One challenge is the difficulty of obtaining suitable classroom recording, since some school may not allow lesson to be recorded. And another challenge is students may initially find it difficult to identify and connect teaching practice with specific teaching theories. This is real. And students may also focus too much on describing what happened in the lesson rather than providing deeper critical analysis of teaching strategy used. So to improve this task, actually teacher training program could maybe provide sample classroom video from different Malaysian school. So students should also be guided on how to apply theory when analyze classroom practice. The evaluation of this task also provide several implications for language learning practice in multilingual ESL classroom. One important implication is the importance of clear and instructional strategy in helping people understand lesson more effectively. So another implication is the value of interactive and communicative learning environment. Language learning learning and communicative learning environment. Learning language become more effective when pupils are given opportunities to interact with classmates and actively participate in the classroom discussion or group tasks, like pair work, group discussion, or other activities like collaborative problem solving. It actually can encourage pupils to practice communication skill and build confidence to learn the second language or the third language. Okay, next, furthermore, multilingual classroom often consists pupils with different learning style and language abilities. Therefore, flexible learning approaches and varied classroom activities are important to ensure that all pupils are able to participate meaningfully in language learning. So we will go to the last task, which is task 3. This comes from English language skill 2. In this task, students must write an academic article based on the theme Inspiring Knowledgeable Language Educators. Students are required to analyze at least 5 recent research articles related to English language teaching. They must also reflect their own experience when we write the academic writing. So this task has an indirect but important impact on language learning because it helps prepare students to become knowledgeable and reflective educator. By analyzing a research article, students gain insight into effective teaching methods, language learning theories, and classroom strategies that support bilingual and multilingual learners. At the same time, reflecting on personal learning experience allows students to understand the challenges that pupils may face when learning a second language such as English in the classroom. This awareness helps future teachers design lessons that support vocabulary development, communication skills, and learner confidence. Reflecting on their own experience also helps students understand the difficulties that pupils may face when learning English. This awareness can help them design lessons that are more supportive and inclusive. One important concept that related to this task is reflective teaching practice. So reflective teachers regularly evaluate their teaching methods and consider how they improve their lesson. Another important concept is instructivist learning theory, where learners actively build knowledge by connecting new information with their previous experience or previous knowledge. Through this task, students connect theory, research, and personal learning experience, which helps them develop a deeper understanding of language teaching. One of the benefits of this task is that it helps students develop research and academic literacy skills. Students learn how to read academic articles critically, analyze information, and present their ideas in a structured academic format. Another benefit is that the task encourages reflective teaching practice by thinking about their own learning experience. Students become more aware of how teaching methods affect people's learning outcomes. The task also promotes professional development because future teachers learn to stay informed about current research and developments in language education. So, however, there are several challenges also when completing this task, because it's difficult to locate recent and relevant academic resources. Especially you want to search the article that have a few pages. So another challenge is synthesizing information from multiple research articles while maintaining a clear and coherent agreement. Students may also struggle with academic referencing and citation practice. So the implication from task 3 is the evaluation of this task highlight the importance of developing reflective and research-informed perspective in language education. Engagement with academic research provide deeper insight into different teaching approach and language learning theories that support bilingual and multilingual learners. This task also emphasizes the importance of reflective practice in language learning and teaching. Reflecting on personal experience as language learner helps develop a deeper understanding of the challenges people may face when learning English as a second language. So in addition, research-based knowledge can contribute to the development of more inclusive learning environment. Understanding different perspectives on language learning allow classroom practice to better address the diverse needs of pupils in multilingual setting. So overall implication for multilingual classroom based on the evaluation of 3 tasks, several broader implication can be identified for language learning in multilingual ESL classroom. So first, pupils' linguistic diversity can be viewed as a valuable learning resource rather than a challenge. People's first language can support their understanding of new vocabulary. We know that, and concept in English. When connection between language are recognized in learning process, language development actually can become more meaningful and effective. Second, flexible and inclusive learning tasks are important in multilingual classroom because people often have different levels of English proficiency. Providing multiple ways for people to demonstrate their understanding, such as oral response, written activities, visual presentation, or collaborative discussion, can help ensure that learning opportunities are accessible to all pupils. Third, classroom activities actually can benefit from incorporating culturally relevant and meaningful context. When lesson content relates to people's daily life and experience, engagement and motivation in learning English are more likely to increase. Another important implication is the role of collaborative learning. Pair-word and group activities allow pupils to support one another by sharing ideas, prioritizing communication skill, and building confidence in using English within a supportive environment. Finally, continuous engagement with educational research, reflection, and professional knowledgeable development can contribute to more effective language learning practice in multilingual classroom. In conclusion, this case study has examined the impact of 3 selected course tasks on supporting bilingual and multilingual in primary ESL classroom in Malaysia. The The analysis shows that each task contribute to language learning in different ways and provide valuable insight into effective practice in multilingual education setting. So overall, the first the first task highlight how creative materials such as songs and poems can support vocabulary development, pronunciation, and verbal confidence in using English. The second task emphasized the importance of interactive pedagogical approach that encourage classroom participation and meaningful communication. Meanwhile, the third task demonstrate the value of research engagement and reflective learning in developing a deeper understanding of language education. So, however, the evaluation also reveals several challenges in the implementation, like I have mentioned earlier. So, based on these findings, several implications can be identified for language learning in multilingual ESL environment. Learning activities that acknowledge people's diverse linguistic background, promote collaboration, and create meaningful opportunities for communication can support more effective language development. Overall, the finding of this case suggests that well-designed learning tasks actually can make learning environment more become positive and reflective engagement with education knowledge. I think that's all from me. Thank you.